Um, are you hit record on your side
I
there?
I
You already
just
good?
I just did the clap. Now you're gonna make me clap again, so I got to figure
Oh,
out
I
where to
didn't see it.
cut
My bad.
this.
I just looked away.
Do you want me to do this now, to where like it's right here and
Yep.
I can go?
hmm
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. So we are joined here on Game Chats this week by none other than Barrett Nelson, aka USN underscore TV. That stands for United States Navy, right? USN.
Indeed, it does. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, welcome aboard the Ultimate Sports Network. One of the similar to a lot of the people that we've had on thus far, kind of started streaming right around when COVID took place and really kind of got integrated in the golf community. Has a society that he is co-managing, but has a very, very unique style and streams quite frequently. 4 or 5 days a week at this point. I think the schedule is up to at this point. But first off, thank you for coming on, USN. Glad to have you. And yeah, I'm ready to dive deep into it.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I'm ready to have some fun here. It's still weird when people are like, "What's up, USN?" I'm like, "You can just call me by my name," but
Yeah.
it's just like one of those things. You've done this long enough now. It's just, yeah, I'm USN. So, yeah, United States Navy. Nothing to do with it, but it's so funny. Even up until this day, I still get that question probably at least a couple times a month. And I had someone the other day who came in and said, "Thank you for your service," and I felt really
Yeah.
I was like, well, before you speak here, sir, let me just take a second. So I
Yeah.
have to occasionally, dial that back a bit. But yeah, it's just funny. That's you ever think about that when you start off on this platform? It never occurs to you all the different things that your name could be misconstrued for. And I know you guys, I know, Bear, you've been through a name change yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So we do. Yeah, it's just funny the way
They were
ours works
referring to
out.
your college football coaching resume. They were thanking you for that service.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um, Circle it back to the origin. So, as I mentioned, you've been streaming roughly 2.5 years at this
Yeah,
point.
two and a half years. I started right at the beginning of the pandemic, actually. So I was one of those guys that was sitting around a lot, had decent amount of extra time on my hands. I was at the house more often than I was usually, not hanging out with friends in person as much. And I always played video games a little bit. It was always like a more of just like a release for me, something I could do to just blow off some steam or take a little time away. And oddly enough, I've always been a sports gamer. Sports have always kind of been my bread and butter. But at that time, when I really started streaming, the games I was playing the most of were Fortnite and Red Dead Redemption. So when I started, I kind of started with those games because I saw some friends streaming, and I thought, I'll try this out, and just started with those games and didn't have any, expectations. Just figured try this out, see how it goes. I've seen a couple friends having fun with it, and one thing leads to the next, and eventually I started gearing myself towards sports because I knew that was really an arena that I was really comfortable in, and something that I know quite well and I've always been passionate about. So it made sense, and my background knowing these games, having played EA Sports games, 2K games for years, even but when we were younger on different, consoles playing different, Sega Genesis, it goes way back with me in sports games. So it's just one of those things that's it just fit for me and it worked. And I love playing Red Dead. I love playing Fortnite and other games
Yep.
like that. I play games like Rome Total War. You would never guess this about me, but like I play weird types of games that you probably think like, oh, USN doesn't play. Yeah, but we got some stuff here on Steam that you probably would be surprised if I told you I actually have it downloaded. So, every once in a while you like to shake it up and dive into something else.
It's always been interesting learning those extra games for people. Like Respawn had, well, not Respawn. Respawn has an exorbitant amount of games, but like Seamount, like we briefly talked with him, and he has like this whole repertoire of games. Like loves all these different RPGs and everything like that. So
Yep.
it's interesting to hear that you do branch outside sports games.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, I mean, I'm thinking DayZ, another one. That's a survival game. I can't believe I played that and got into it as much as I did because it's totally different than the games I do stream. But it's nice to every once in a while just try something else out and get a different flavor for something.
I want to know the one game that would like shock everyone that's in the Steam.
Ooh, the one game that would shock everyone. Most of the games right now I'm looking at are actually my girlfriend's games in here.
Yeah.
The one game, yeah, I know, right? We do it. Well, we have Ranch Simulator. That's one I might throw you. Maybe Skyrim or something like that. Elder Scrolls is on here, so I don't know if you guys would have guessed that we'd have that downloaded, but
No.
yeah, that's definitely one of them. So yeah.
So I want to talk about the unique channel point redemptions. So
Oh, absolutely, man.
I'm immediately jumping into the hot freestyle. I know a little bit about the background, but again, how do you just decide this is going on the channel? We're going to be doing this for the rest of my life now.
You're gonna do it like a pro. Breaking it down from the top, they know what I'm doing. I'm back on the rock, you know what I'm doing. I'm here to just do it, cause you know that I'm gonna do it like prop. You know what I'm doing, come with the crop. I'm not talking about all the corn. You know what I'm doing, I'm up on the beat. And I do it like I'm watching this porn. They said that I'm joking around and I'm smoking it down and I'm taking my time. They know what I do cause I'm making these rhymes. I'm up on my grind, I'm not here to shine. You know what I'm doing, I'm getting this high. I gotta go like it's so hotty. They know what I do, yo, where is the toddy? They know what they do cause they not me. It's a great question, actually. It's a great question. Let's start at the beginning here with this one. So this goes back to me changing my name. When I first got on Twitch, I thought to myself, okay, what am I good at? I was coming from the music industry. For those of you who don't know me that well, I used to write about musicians. I used to interview musicians. That was my job for years. I go around to festivals, events, coordinate with promoters and stuff like that, getting, just do all this work behind the scenes. And it was great. I loved it, but it didn't pay very well. And it was just something I was passionate about. So when I first came over here to Twitch, I was like, well, maybe I should do something with music. So my name as a rapper, believe it or not, this is going to be a funny story, has always been Junior JR, last name Streets. Now, if you look at me, I don't really give off the vibe of, the streets part as much, probably.
So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband.
But the point was, it came from the town where I was from. A friend of mine, his older brother, was visiting once and said, you have really small, or not his brother, it was like his cousin, and he said, you have really small streets in this town. And I was like, that's a cool kind of thing, like Junior Streets. So that's how it came to be. And that was my name for years, that I just used whenever it would be like a party trick or something. Someone having a party would be like, hey, my guy, Barrett can spit freestyles. And everyone would always be like, oh yeah, everyone says they can spit freestyles, like whatever. And then I'd freestyle in front of a group of like 20, 30 people. And they'd be like, okay, actually, that was pretty cool. So that was like the extent of my freestyling for years. Like I didn't really record much music or anything. But when I hopped on Twitch, I started as Junior Raps, which was like my name. And I figured, okay, what I'll do is I'll play a little bit of games, and then I'll do streams where I just, like, I'm T-Pain and I record a live rap track or show people how to produce a beat or, all this stuff or whatever. Well, lo and behold, that didn't really take. I didn't really think that was going to be the end all be all for me. And I didn't love the idea of rapping for like 3 or 4 straight hours on stream. So that was where the freestyle redemption came from. I said, this is a little way to kind of hold on to a piece of that without actually, constantly feeling like, and obviously, if you guys know Jay Torres, you're in my streams, he redeems it like, 5 times a week. But outside of him, it gets used here and there. I think it gets used enough for what I'm doing, because I really don't want that to take away from the focus of my streams. At the end of the day, it's a totally fun out there redemption. I've never taken myself too seriously when it comes down to that. And I would hope the people that are tuning in would know that I just do it for fun. And, I'm not trying to parlay this into some type of musical career path or something like that. But yeah, that's how it came to be, man. And same for a lot of my redemptions like that. Honestly, they just have a strange way of coming together like that, somewhere from previous, friends that we had in the chat and just conversations and things I used to do before I was streaming. So it's just kind of funny how they've all come to be. But I do think that's a really, good thing to mention, because I do pride myself on the redemptions on the channel, and I think they are very unique to the channel, if nothing else.
Absolutely. That it definitely is one thing about your channel that I really feel outside of a lot of people is, in the director, it's extremely unique. Like, you have different components, the channel point rewards, you're playing different games, you have the different personalities, which I'm sure we'll get into. I guess, so you mentioned it was Junior Raps or whatever the first Twitch
Yeah, that was the first name.
What was your first, one thing we've been asking a lot, or I guess I have, was there a first particular stream or streamer that like made you think, hey, maybe I should hit the go live button on Twitch, or anyone that you happen to follow before actually doing it?
Absolutely. Two guys who were integral, who were really, 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 really important to me even taking this jump in the first place. So the first guy, his name is Enrique. Enrique is a former coworker of my girlfriend who, believe it or not, she only worked at the company they worked at for like 6 months, but I met him on a handful of occasions. We kind of became friends, and him and I ended up striking up a friendship, and we played all the same video games. So we would play Fortnite together all the time. Me with a couple of his buddies, we would always run like squads on Fortnite. And he told me once, he's like, I stream on Twitch if you ever want to like tune in and check it out. I didn't even have a Twitch profile at this point. I had been on Twitch a couple times. I had, coming from the music industry. Okay, so the sector of the music industry I'm in, I'm covering DJs primarily. I'm not covering live music acts and stuff like that. Most of the guys I were covering were making dubstep and drum and bass and EDM and stuff like that. So these guys do live sets a lot of the time on Twitch because it's money for them if they can, go get their crowd to come in and support them. So they would just do a live DJ set, and I'd watch that and check it out. But I never thought to myself, hey, I should hop on this platform. So I saw my buddy Enrique doing it, and I was like, okay, well, he does this with Fortnite and gets, 3, 4, 5 people in there. His friends come by, they, give him a sub here, some bits there. It's kind of cool. Like, I don't have to like take it too seriously. If it catches on, great. If not, whatever. So he was a huge kind of stepping stone also because he's really computer savvy, and he helped me kind of just understand the entire landscape of Twitch and everything. Because coming from where I was coming from, I had like, you don't know how little you don't like. You don't know anything. Like you really don't when you first start on this platform. It's amazing between learning OBS and just learning how to actually like grow what your channel. I mean, it's work, man. People don't think streaming is work sometimes. They think you just flip on a camera and it's like, cool, just talk. Like, no, there's so much that goes into this behind the scenes. It's like you don't even realize it sometimes. And I'm sure you guys know that because you're running YouTube channels, you're running this, you're doing TikToks, you're doing that. It's a lot of freaking work. And not to get off the point here, because the other person I wanted to highlight was a guy named Shigs TV. I've mentioned Shigs a lot in my chats. Chances are, if you've hung out in there, you've probably gone on a raid with me to Shigs' channel at some point. He doesn't stream as much now, but Shigs is the younger brother of my best friend's wife. So my best friend and his wife, funny story, were living at home here for a couple months with his wife's family because they live in Chicago and they needed a place to live for a couple months before they moved to the UK. And I was hanging out over there with them a little bit. And I would just go over there, chill with them. And I got to know her brother a little bit better because I had met him on like a handful of occasions, but I didn't really know him that well. And every time I was over there, he was streaming on Twitch playing Call of Duty. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, I should check this out. So he was the other guy, Shigs TV, and then the other guy, Enrique, he goes by KillaBees007G. So it's kind of funny because when I came to the golf community, I met Brandon KillaBees. So if you were in my chats when I first started playing PGA 2K21, you saw 2 KillaBees in my chats pretty much on a daily basis because they were both in there all the time. So it's just funny how that works out. But those are the 2 guys, Shigs and KillaBees, I would say really kind of piqued my interest in this platform. And without them, I honestly will tell you, I never would have ended up doing this 100%.
You good?
I am good. I am good. Sorry about that.
Okay. So
where were we?
Yeah, exactly. You previously made this the easiest question to follow up on. How much do you hate yourself for creating those intros and all the extra work that you have to do behind the scenes?
Dude, okay. So the intros have turned into simultaneously the best and worst thing on my channel. Mm-hmm. The best thing because the people who get them love them. It seems like they love it's like something personal. It's a nice touch, and I really don't feel like a lot of it is fluff. I really don't feel like I don't think most intros are looked at and people are like, that was a waste of like me even watching that clip. Like, I hope it doesn't feel like that. Even if it's not your personal introduction, I hope people can still laugh at it. For who dad? Hey, sing it with me, folks. Sing it, chuckle, whatever, shake their head, whatever reaction they get out of it. Hopefully it just creates some type of emotional response or whatever. At the same time, like you said, now I have people who come in for 2 weeks and are like, so am I getting an intro soon? And I would love to do it for everybody who comes in there, man. But we already now with the 70 to 80 we have, like you said, sometimes at the beginning of the stream, we'll be there for 20, 30 minutes, just clip after clip. Oh, hey, coming in. Okay,
wrap
boom,
up the
boom,
stream,
boom.
guys.
Yeah, right. Okay, guys, well, have a good day. Thanks for coming through, and hope you enjoy the clip show. So it's Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, that was something that when I first started it, I probably had them for like, I don't know, maybe like 10, 15 people. And I thought, okay, this is manageable. Like my stream's not that busy anyway. And now that my stream has gotten to a point where it's kind of gotten a little bit busier and a little more foot traffic, it's great. But I feel like new people might find that a little more of a put off than anything if they don't really fully understand what the gist of it is. For example, I had a gentleman the other day who was nice enough to come in and said, stop talking and doing this and start playing. So you'll always have those people out there, and you know, hey, it's just part of the Twitch ecosystem. So
If the ball plays.
yeah. Are you going to take this shot yet? All that. So yeah,
No,
I'm
I'm
used
not.
to it. Yeah, no. Yeah, and I'm the worst guy to ask that too, because
Yeah.
I used to serve it back. I used to get a little like lippy, and now I just kind of like almost like just like move on to the next topic or the next conversation in chat. But yeah, it's part of it, man. The intros, people do love them, and I've been honest with people from the get-go that like, look, at some point, if the stream does get to a point where I consider us large enough to that, you know, for that not to be something advantageous for our position, like I don't want to get in any type of hot water because of that, or you know, I don't any issues like that. So I've done a good job of kind of towing the line with that, and a lot of the intros I do make, I will say, I edit them myself. I either add text to them or I'll chop the clips up or something. So a lot of the intros that I'm playing are not necessarily just the direct clip taken from whatever I might have, you know, taken it from. Some are, but a lot of them are me kind of going into, you know, my editing software and chopping things up and moving audio around and switching things here and there. And it is a lot of work. I won't lie to you. And then when people are like, you know, getting like, hey man, do I have one come in? It's like, I got to sometimes put my foot on the gas, but you don't want to rush something. You don't want to just crank it out to be like, oh, hey, here, I put this together for you. And I just paste, you know, just slap something together and here you go. Like the whole point of these is to have some substance to them, have some meaning to them, not for it to just be some clip that, you know, makes you laugh, like which is great that it does, but I like, you know, like Kilbride. He's Mac Jones walking in with, you know, one of the funniest walks I've ever seen at the draft in my life. Like, I mean, that's just
Stone cold music. It's so good.
Right. It's great. It just works. You know, it's not too confusing, but it works.
Oh yeah.
I think it's something even to kind of, because I never want to see those go away. I think it's something that as your channel has really grown within the past 5-6 months, if you haven't been in there and you get to see those intros, it lets you know who's in the chat too. I always thought that was a cool little feature of, if I go into someone's chat who's brand new and you got 70, 80 people in there, it's nerve-wracking to try and type something in because you're on the outside. You see those intros, it's like, oh, okay, that guy has a Backstreet Boys. Wait, he's got three Backstreet Boys intros. Now you can create some conversation. So I've always thought that's kind of a nice entry point for the new people as well.
No, and you make a good point. I think some people could find it intimidating. I think other people maybe find it relatable in a way to actually kind of break the ice and be like, oh, like, I know where that's from. Like, I've seen that. Like, oh, I love that clip, or oh, I love that show, or oh, yeah, that actor's like one of my like, you never know, man. And when you're in a Twitch stream, honestly, getting someone's attention or just getting someone to even say hello to you can be so difficult to do, man. It really is, because we talk about the discoverability on this platform and the lack of it that there is, and they're not lying. Like it almost seems like it's not getting any better. So it's tough, especially when you're a new streamer just starting from scratch. I'm very fortunate that I started during the pandemic, because I think if I started like tomorrow, let's say, from scratch, I don't know if I could make the same progress in the next 2.5 years that I've had, you know, the I guess the benefit of being able to make here during the last 2.5. So it's strange how it all works out. At the same time, I will say, you know, while the intros do take some time up sometimes and all that, like, they also created what I consider to be probably the single most fun event on the channel to date, which was our big intro bracket we did back in March. It also raised by far the most support I've seen for my channel, which was nuts. So it's weird. It's I love it. It's something I hope never goes away too, but everyone knows that if I do grow to the point I want to someday, they might have to. And if that happens, great. If they don't go away and I can keep them, I'm totally happy with that too. Because like you said, it's something fun. It makes people, whether you have one or not, whether you're new or someone old, just something to liven up the spirits a little bit, and it seems to be something that people genuinely enjoy. So that's good, I think, at the end of the day.
I think one good thing about it too is, and I think we all can relate. I know Bear can because he'll be the one editing this. It like keeps you fresh in that like editing software and stuff where you just, I feel like it helps drive the innovation. You know what I mean? Like if sometimes you get in a roadblock, and you don't know where to go. Well, oh yeah, this guy's been around for a year now. Like I'm really starting to get to know him, he's been active in chat. Like, oh, let me create a new one. And then, you're throwing idea, like it just helps to innovate in your mind and also like utilize the software. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. And honestly, now with TikTok and YouTube being things that we got to use as content creators, like you got to know how to edit your own stuff because none of us are. I mean, maybe you have a good job. You might be able to contract this out to someone or just have someone else do your work for you. Which there are people out there who will edit your work for you and do a bang up job of doing it. But it will, it'll cost you a little bit of money. So it's just you got to weigh your time versus what you're getting out of it too. Because I see a lot of people who put so much time and effort into videos to edit them and put them together, and then they put it on YouTube and it gets 25 views. And I'm like, dude, you put like 3 hours in editing this video, and it's like, is this juice worth the squeeze? And you exactly, you just got to weigh the options here. So it's just, I don't know. Just one of those things. So yeah, I love editing though. It's honestly something I really like enjoy having genuine fun doing. When I was younger, I used to always make like ridiculous like home videos with my buddies. So and that was on much more like much more much older, much more archaic software that did not work as well as the stuff I have now. So it was
it's fun because you can put your own twist on it. Bear certainly does here. We always know what the editor is thinking. It's like a fourth person on this interview right now.
Right? No, it's great, man. And honestly, like I got a lot of respect for people who edit stuff because there is a skill to it. Like there is like having the ability to have a keen eye for that stuff it's not something that everyone can do. So I think I'm an okay editor. I think I just have I have fun doing it. But I think some people are just really like meant to do and really good at it. So yeah, when someone can do something like that, it's a skill for sure, man. I wish I had better software now for it, but right now I use just free software for it, so it gets the job done. But yeah, I'm not editing anything too, other than the clips, I'm not editing anything too significant.
Right. Yeah. One other thing that I wanted to ask you about is where did the impersonation start? Like, was that always something? Bear's upset.
Damn it!
You guys don't go over this beforehand. You just
no. We free ball it.
Free ball. Okay, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is my kind of interview.
Each other. Cross this out. Cross that out.
You had to know that was going to get asked, right? I mean.
Oh yeah, but it was that an initial part of the channel, or because like it feels like it was always there, right? And at this point, like I feel like we have a full backstory on Maria Zanger, and like we know exactly like her whole life history, and you just keep adding little nuggets. It's almost like she needs we need a USN Wikipedia page for all your like.
It's gonna get there at some point, maybe. We'll see. It's funny how these people came to life, man. Because people will be like, now you got multiple personality disorder here or something. Like, you okay, USN? But okay. This whole thing started as a joke during the pandemic because when I first started this channel, I told you my initial thing was going to be the rap. That was the freestyle was going to be my thing, and I was going to play games a couple times a week. So I figured when I would play Madden or NBA 2K a couple times a week, what I would do is I'd mute the announcers and I would do the voices myself. And the reason I was doing that is because if you guys remember, all professional sports had been canceled completely. Yeah. There was like a 2 to 4 week moratorium. It was something. It was a short period of time. There was a very short window, but it was unusual because at that time of the year we just don't have no sports. So I was like, this is the perfect time for me to do this. Like, there's no sports. Yeah. I can be sports. Like, is what I thought in my head, not realizing that as a guy brand new on this platform, I wasn't going to have more than like 2 or 3 people watching me at a time. But I thought, okay, this is a great idea. So I start doing this, and I commit to it. And I'm telling you guys, like, what I do now is probably not even a 10th of what I was doing then, because I commit so hard for 3 hours for 3 hours with no camera. I'd take my headset and I would do the voices like the entire time, not breaking character, like staying in character, doing like fake ad reads. I'd be like, let's send it on over to Tad Vincent, and Tad be like, I just want to mention that, you know, our sponsor today is Doritos. Got to thank Doritos for, you know, flying the blimp overhead. It'd just be total utter nonsense. But I thought I was great at it at the time, honestly. And it's funny because I feel like since then, with the pandemic, I wasn't working out as much. I wasn't taking care of myself as much. And I felt like my endurance actually took like a hit. And I just couldn't sit there and do like 3 hours of constantly being Maria and Tad and Larry and all these personalities. And like, I was like, it's much better if I just kind of bring them in and out as needed. And also, I didn't want it to be overkill. I think at some point people are like, okay, Bucky Majors cusses a lot. He likes to drink. He's Australian. That's great. He's loud and, you know, he gets in your face, but there's a time and a place for that. And we don't need 45 minutes of Bucky ranting about golf. So I've figured it out over time. I think a good balance that works for what my channel wants and then also what I can provide. Now, look, at some point down the line, I'm going to be honest with you. I'd love to have like a night or a stream during the day where for maybe a couple hours we go full broadcaster mode, and maybe for a full game I don't break character and I just stay in those characters for that game. But we'll see. I don't know if I'll ever get back to that. And what I realized too over time is that while that is one of the, I guess, again, unique features of the channel, because I don't think you see a ton of, you'll see channels where people are doing voices and silly stuff like that, where, you know, people can do impersonations and funny impressions and stuff like that. But to create these personalities, like you said, man, Leanne told me so long ago, she was like probably year and a half, 2 years ago, she's like, you know what, people have really bought into your people that you have here. You should really hash out their backstories more. Like, you should really do this. So I started going into it more. I started giving Larry a family. Like, Larry Silvers has his wife Mary and his kids Brandon and Miranda, who he talks about, and how, you know, whenever he wants to talk about Gen Z or something, he'll bring up his kids Brandon and Miranda, or current slang or stuff like that. He'll always reference his children. So it's just like, it just built itself. And Tad Vincent was this guy who had been married 8 times. So I started fleshing out who his 8 wives been, what were they like, how were they different, why has he had 8 wives, why can't he settle down with someone? So it's all ridiculous made up nonsense, but I felt like the more actual substance I had to it, the more other people would actually grab onto it too and be like, you know what, like, sure, Maria went to ASU and she might have been a little slutty, but guess what, a lot of people who went to ASU might have it was college. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't think anyone's saying that's like a leap. Okay, so it just the story kind of built itself out over time. So it's weird. It's so weird how that stuff come together, but it's become one of the parts of the channel that I think people enjoy most now, because that's one of the redemptions. I mean, they get asked questions daily, and I love that redemption because you think people would ask them the same questions over and over, but they never do. It's always something strange and out there, and like, where in the world would you travel to? What celebrity do you want to date? What's your weirdest kink in the bedroom? It's like, it's so much strange out there stuff, and it's great because it gives me, as someone who likes to improvise, just an unlimited amount of material to play with, where I can just goof around. And, you know, sometimes I'll have a response to one of those questions and I'll be like, that wasn't a great response, but, you know, I did my best, whatever. It's on the spot, I'm making it up. But then there's other times where I have a response to a question and I'm like, wow, I knocked that one out of the park. Like, that was a perfect response for that one. So it's just, you know, trial and error. You figure it out. And I love those voices, and those won't go anywhere. That's for sure. That to me has become really the staple of the channel. And as strange as it is to some people at first, I think a lot of what you said, Bear, with when you do go into a chat with 60 or 70 people, it's a different vibe. You know, when I had 6 or 7 people in there doing what I would do, I'd have people come in there and tell me things like, this is stupid, you're wasting your time, get off this platform, even way worse stuff. I don't want to go into it, but people would say really ignorant, just terrible things to me. And that's just part of Twitch, you know that. So you just let it slide off you and move on and say, you know, whatever, it's not everybody's cup of tea. But once you do have a community, and not even 60 or 70 people, once you have 20, 30, 40 people who are in your chats consistently and really have your back, it cuts out a lot of that nonsense, and it kind of changes the way people who are new perceive that, because they're like, wait, if 40 or 50 other people think this is funny and cool, then why am I the one that thinks that it's weird and out there and lame and no one else is going to like it? So it's weird how that changes. But when you only have 6 or 7 people in there, And one is Rab Sims, one is Wabidi. Those are my two guys, and then the other three are bots. And some random comes in and just says some horrible stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, you just had to kind of sit there and take it. And it made me wonder sometimes too, like, am I really like, is this really what I want to be doing on Twitch? Like, should I be doing these voices? Is this something like, so I'm glad I didn't give into that, because I did have those thoughts of being like, if people hate this, like, and think it's a terrible idea, maybe I should do away with it. But now I look back on it and I'm like, no, that's what made my channel different than every other sports streamer out there. Like, there's a lot of sports streamers out here, man. Like, you got to separate yourself somehow, some way. And as silly and ridiculous and out there as it is, it makes my channel unique again. So I think that's something you always have to look back at. What's helping you stand out from the crowd,
And
at the end of the day.
you are on the way to having like the perfect Twitch story arc, where you started, you had the numbers, and then started to dip. I want you to talk about the lows of going through that, and then I want to go into how a game that is almost 10 years old sparked the channel like no other, and maybe even a little bit of a time switch, how great that has been for the channel.
Great question. I'm going to take a second with this one, but I'll answer this basically.
Two, baby.
Yeah.
I'm dominating
We keep
this interview.
we keep track, by the way, of great questions.
No, I mean, it really is, because I mean, every channel has ups and downs. There are so few channels where you just see it just exponential growth all over time. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. I think the key as a streamer is to limit the downs. Because you're going to have months where you're trending downwards, your viewership is down, maybe the subs are down, all that. You can't do anything about it. But here's the thing. When I first went to golf, I saw a spike in my viewership. And I think when I saw my viewership spike from like the 8 to 10 people I was getting on Madden and NBA 2K to about 25, 30 people on PGA, I think I started to get a little cocky at the time, honestly. I think I started, it's natural, it happens. You think like, oh man, I'm actually going to do this, like blah, blah, blah. And you build this up in your head, and you start getting carried away. And then some people in the chat start telling you this is so great, and blah, blah, blah. You start buying into it. So it's funny, because now that I'm further down the line, I don't take anything for granted. I'm like, I just try to just stay on the outside and view everything from the outside now. It's so different than I looked at it like even 2 years ago. But at the time with golf, I thought like, oh, golf's gonna take me to partner. Golf's gonna get me to, and I didn't realize how short-sighted that was at the time. And I kept playing golf, and then PGA 2K21 basically died, and my channel started going from like close to probably 28, 30 average viewers a month to like 26 to 24 to 22 down to 20. And look, like 20 average viewers is still a lot of people. Some people got to remember this. Like, if you can average 20 viewers, man, that's 20 people that are still on average hanging out in your stream. So I like to keep that in perspective. Like that's a classroom right there, okay, of people watching you on a regular basis. It's not a small group of people. Like, it's not at all. But I was like, I could tell my numbers were going in the wrong direction. So I got wind of the NCAA football revamp mod, the college football revamp mod, which is a modded version of NCAA Football 14 for those of you out there that might not have heard of it. The game is nearly 10 years old at this point, but the mod pretty much put a whole new spin on the thing, updated jerseys, updated uniforms, updated rosters, updated pretty much a ton all throughout the game. And it looks great. It looks freaking great when I play it. It runs smooth. It works well. But out of, the funny thing is, if you ask me, like, what do I like more? What did I grow up playing more of, NCAA or golf? I played both a lot, to be honest, but NCAA was always my game. NCAA football was always the game I loved. I always loved the recruiting aspect of it. And I think that's what really helped me grow within that community, is that people could sense my passion for the game, because I was new. And while there aren't a lot of people in that community, it's a very interesting community, because everyone gets to know each other. You know everyone. Like, even in golf, to a certain extent, it's almost the same way, because golf is in the biggest community. But in NCAA, even more so. It's even, I don't want to say tight knit is the right term, but everyone knows everyone in there. So you get to make an opinion about every person's stream. You got, like, I like this guy, I don't like this guy, and it seemed like I was, just making some good steps in the right direction. And the stream started growing again when I started playing NCAA. Started picking up. I went from 20 to 25, and so on and so forth. And then it went up again, and that's great. Like, your stream is going to do that. You're going to have, like I said, ups and downs. But then also with NCAA, I've had months where the viewership has gone down before too, and not like significantly, but it's dipped, you know, a month or two here, a month or two there. So it's not always just going to be this thing where you're going up and down. And I think now when I see the viewership dip, I don't really let it affect me as much because I'm like, it's part of the process, man. Like it is, you don't want to see it crater. I feel like the streamers that are the most inconsistent are the guys who you see they're 1 month they're here, then they're up here, the next month they're down here, then it's like back up here, back down here. Like I agree with you that I have had a couple points where the viewership has gone, you know, down a little bit, but then it usually within a month or two kicks back up. So I don't know if that's the combination of games I'm playing. I don't know if it's just the timing of the year and what people are doing with their activities day to day, but I guess my advice to anyone in that situation would be just to hang in there. Like if you put in the work, like even if your numbers aren't consistent month to month, like usually they tend to level out. And I think having slow, steady, kind of intermediate or just not immediate growth is nice, because when you grow so quickly, it's tough to continue that type of growth and even retain what you've already got. I mean, honestly, I've seen so many guys on MLB The Show this year who blew up and applied for partner, and now they can't get 20 or 30 people in their stream. And it's crazy. It's nuts, man. So, you know, part of it's game selection. I've always told people that, you know, play a game that's maybe not as saturated. You know, people who play COD struggle to get views because it's Call of Duty. The same reason people who play Fortnite or Madden or NBA 2K or any game that's going to have a lot of people playing it. And I'm not saying play games with less viewership or less, you know, competition from other streamers just to play them. Like, play them because you like them, but maybe try to figure out those games, figure out what works for you, and then hopefully you avoid those dips in your viewership as much as you can. But hey, man, you guys know it. I'm sure you can look at your own too, and
Oh yeah.
some months you're up and you're like, hey, we're going in the right direction, and next month goes down. You're like, great, whatever. That's.
And for perspective, for people who are unaware, I mean, this is not necessarily a prime time. It's 11:15 on a Friday night, so I mean, it's probably not your best prime time to go on Twitch for viewership, but 21 people total in the NCAA 14 directory at the moment watching. So not streams. There are 8 streams, 21 people watching. So that goes to show you, you don't have to necessarily be in a large directory, but you know, obviously that might help your chance of actually getting clicked on is another thing too.
And to that point, you know, it has its pros and cons. Look, if you're a brand new streamer still going into NCAA, you're still going to have some trouble getting some traction. You might get traction more quickly than you would on a game like Madden, but you're still going to have traction. I was very lucky that when I came to the NCAA community, I was already averaging that like 20, 25 people, because it would almost always put me at the top of the directory. Okay, maybe one day there's someone here in front of me there, whatever, but I was always almost the number 1 or 2 guy on the directory when I was playing that game. So when I was brand new, it did help me bring in a very large audience. I was getting a lot of follows on a regular basis. But just to go, it goes to show you now, like for example, when I play NCAA now, I'm lucky if I have a stream where I get 5 to 10 follows. Most likely during an NCAA stream, I might get like 2 to 4 nowadays. That's more likely to what I'm going to see, because honestly, there's just most of the people within that community have discovered me at this point, and they've decided, okay, I want to follow or I don't, and that's fine, and that's great. I feel like I've pretty much reached most of the people that I'm going to reach through this game until the new game comes out next year, which will be exciting. I'm pumped for that, but yeah, man. I mean, that's still a ways away, so not really.
In general, too, I mean, you know, obviously I've watched you for quite a while myself, but I feel like you're in. I would like to, as far as streaming, a casual gamer. It's not like you're always trying to do your best, but like for NCAA and golf, it's always more about the interaction. It's about the personalities. It's about the redemptions. It's about the chat, which, you know, a lot of people probably lose focus on. And I think the other key component is that game. It circles back to that game selection. I feel like the NCAA, the way you play it, it's not online versus anyone. It's always versus the computer.
Yeah,
and
right.
then PGA, you know, it's, you know, you're just by yourself. So I feel like those are two correct me if I'm wrong, would you say like those are like just the 2 perfect casual games for streaming on Twitch, because you have that much more of an opportunity to interact with chat and, you know, build your own personality?
I think within the sports category, yeah, you might have a good point, honestly, because I'll tell you right now, I've tried to play NHL, I've tried to play FIFA on stream, and it's tough to communicate with an audience. And that was when I only had 15, 20 people in there. If I had to have 70 people in there for a FIFA stream, I'd be losing my mind trying to look up and then look back on the field and like look up and then look back. Like, no, I couldn't do it, honestly. And I don't know if I had that many people in there, but I'm just saying hypothetically, if it was that kind of crowd for that stream, that'd be a lot to handle. And same for NHL. And really NBA 2K to an extent. Now, I think MLB is really nice in that sense because with Major League Baseball, you kind of have a little bit of downtime between innings, between pitches, between outs being made. So you can still kind of go back and forth a little bit. And I'm sure there's some other sports games out there that are like that. Maybe stuff like Fishing Planet, for example, which I don't know if people like fishing games, but if you do, it's something like that where you can kind of communicate a little bit more and have a little bit more back and forth. But you are correct. Playing NCAA, playing PGA, those are two games that really do allow me to kind of go at my own pace, which, like I said earlier, some people don't always love, but it works for most of the people who are in there on a regular basis. They like the pace of the show. It seems to go well. And I know I'm not going to be the guy who, cranks out, 10 golf rounds in a 4-hour stream. But I also think it's funny because, the term casual gamer to me, I'm a casual gamer. That's what I've always been. I've never been a competitive gamer. The only time I really started to become competitive was once I started streaming and once I started playing PGA more often. And people in PGA, my buddy C-Flip came to me and Hoodad came to me and they said, hey, you know what? You're playing this game enough. Why don't you take it a step up? Why don't you see what you're like against some of these guys who play this game regularly? And I was like, yeah, what the heck? I'm already playing, might as well. So if it wasn't for them, I might have still just been, dicking around out there, just taking shots and hitting houses and doing God knows what. But, instead they got me on TGC tours, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you I got to, the highest levels of the best, one of the most well-run societies out there. But I got much better at the game. So, I think I did. I still look at myself as a casual gamer, but I like to think the games that I do play, I know how to play them. I know how to play them. I might not be the best, but I don't think I'm someone who necessarily just goes in there and doesn't know what he's doing either, and is just trying to figure it out as he goes. I mean, I have enough experience having played the games now that it hopefully lends itself to me providing some better quality gameplay on a more regular basis.
The people that get like super sweaty and try and get to like the top ranks at TGC are some of the worst people in the community. So,
well, I don't want to say that because I actually like a lot of them too. To be honest with you, I know a lot of the guys up there who make an effort to still come into my streams, even though my golf is nowhere near what what the quality that they provide is. But at the same time, man, it's so funny. The last couple of days with the new game being out, I have people coming into my chats. And the most common question I've got the last couple of days: how difficult is it? How difficult is it? I've seen that question. I must have seen that question 20 or 30 times in the last 2 or 3 days. I swear to you. How difficult is it? How difficult? And I keep saying, look, it's really as difficult as you want it to be. Okay? Because I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to play on pro swing difficulty, the game felt great to me on pro. I was cruising through it. I was whooping butt. I was like, if I played on pro settings, man, I'd be great all the time. And then you crank it up back to that master swing setting and you're like, oh, okay, a little bit of a different game here. But that's what I want to do now. I mean, a couple of years ago, I might not have done that so easily. On the first day I played the game, I don't think I would have just cranked it up to masters like that on 2K21. But this time, I've been playing the game for 2 years now. I feel like I know the feel of it well enough, the mechanics of it well enough, and even though it's an entirely new game, I feel really good just jumping in there and just rolling with it. So still a casual gamer, I'd say, but I think streaming has definitely made me want to take it a little bit more seriously for sure.
Absolutely. Now, do you think you're saying pro is relatively easy for you, do you think it's too difficult for a casual gamer in 23? We haven't even really touched on PGA at all.
No, we haven't. That's a great question, though, man, because I've had so many new people in the chat who were already supporters of the channel but didn't play the game. But they said, hey, you know what? The new game's out. You play it a lot. I like watching you play it. I think I'd have fun on this game, so I'm going to get it this year. So I've been having a lot of guys in the chat who have just been going through like hell right now because they are out there shooting on masters and pro swing difficulties, and it's tough, man. They're putting up some high scores and they're like do I just quit? Do I keep playing? And I'm just like, just stay at it, man. It doesn't have this is one of those games where, you know, some people are skilled enough. You got your guys out there. You got some really high end golfers who can play this game for a couple days a week, and it'll be like they almost didn't miss a step from the last game or anything. They just moved right on seamlessly. But then you have guys like me, like I said, again, more casual. I would still identify more as a casual gamer, but you know, now I would expect my transition into this game to be a little bit quicker than my transition into the previous game. So for people who are new, you're probably right. Pro swing difficulty might be kind of tough. Like it might be kind of tricky for people who are new if you're just getting into it. That's why a lot of people are using the 3-click this year. I think you're seeing a lot of the 3-click method. A lot of people asking me about the 3-click method, which is funny because I haven't even messed around with that yet. But yeah, it's a thing, and look, at the end of the day, man, like, play the game, have fun with it, honestly. Like, I love being competitive. I love playing on TGC tours. I love being able to be like, look, I finished in front of so-and-so this week. I can't believe I was on top of the leaderboard in front of this guy who I know is a better golfer than me. Like, you know, that's always fun. It is. I won't lie to you, but man, just have fun with it, dude.
Exactly.
Like, don't drive yourself up a freaking, you know, wall. It's like, don't just.
There's 2 settings below pro. You can make the game a little easier for people.
Right.
It's all their choice, but the issue is they come in and they see, oh, well, USN's on master difficulty. I have to. No, you don't. Just play it how you want.
And that's why it's funny. Maybe I shouldn't be saying I'm a casual gamer, honestly, because I don't even know if a casual gamer could even shoot around under par on master swing difficulty. So.
Well, we've all seen the sliders for NCAA. So
yeah. The rookie sliders over there, those are notorious, man. Those have made the rounds. I think they're freshmen. Sorry, I said rookie, but it's college football. It's freshmen.
Yeah,
freshman sliders.
Is there any one particular thing that you see yourself doing more in 2K23 or looking forward to most? There's been so much released. We're recording this the day that they tell us that there's going to be cross-platform eventually down the road, as well as what was the other big one?
Sliders.
Ranked
online ranked as well. And also a slider so you can adjust your weight. Any other, societies are a critical big component, but it's, for the masses in PGA Tour 2K23, it's probably not something that you play regularly. Like, a lot of people still are online ranked. I'm sure we're all interested to see where the game goes, but do you see already like a direction that you're looking to, change, or just kind of go with the flow?
Well, you can still only join 10 societies, correct? Is that still that's where it's capped?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's one thing that I'm having trouble wrapping my head around that. But okay, so you can join 10 societies, great. I plan on streaming this game at least for the near future here, probably 3-4 days a week. So I could fill up a day or two with society play probably. But what I really want to focus on is not Top Golf. Top Golf's fine, but I'm not really like loving it. I'm not like, I got to get out here and play this. Career mode, I tried, and I get it's like the way to get VC and XP, and that's great. Look, if you want to grind the game and you want to improve your golfer quickly, if you are a casual player trying to get to the next kind of level of this game and make yourself more competitive, then you got to get these things that are going to help you get better more quickly. Like, I think for guys like us who have played the game for a minute now, like, we like having the better balls, we like having the fittings that work for us, but like, we've played this game enough where even if you give us the base stuff, the default stuff, we're still going to play pretty decent golf most of the time out there, at least in my opinion. And all that other stuff will help, I know it will, but I think it'll really help the guys who are newer to the game, the guys who are just getting used to it. That's for sure. But for me, the one thing I'm looking forward to is really playing with friends. Playing with friends much more often. When I first started playing this game, or I say this game, but 2K21 for me, I played the golf club for like 2 months before 2K21 came out. That was when I first started streaming golf, was on the golf club 2019. I think that was the last one, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah.
And I played that for like 2 months right before 2K21 came out. I got it for like cheap at the time because it was on sale. And then we went into this game, and when 2K21 came out, I met C-Flip, I met Whodad and Lex and White T, and a bunch of, I can go on with the names, but a bunch of names from guys who were already in the community before I was even a part of it. And we all just started playing rounds together. That was kind of our thing, was to play rounds together. And at some point, my channel started growing. I kind of went for the whole solo thing and kind of just really started focusing on my channel and what I'm doing. And I kind of got away from playing rounds with my buddies. And at the end of the day, man, like, that's kind of why I got into streaming. Like, I was playing Fortnite with my friends. That's like what piqued my, so playing with my buddies, like, even if it's just like one day a week, if we pick one day a week where we're like, hey, this is the PGA stream where whoever's around and wants to hop on can do it. And now that we'll be able to do it with people on other platforms too, like, that opens up such a world of possibilities, man. Like, I was only going to be able to play with PlayStation players, which is great because a lot of my dudes are on PlayStation that I play the game with. But dude, now I can play with my buddies on PC, and the Miller Time on Xbox, and Jedi Master on Xbox, and all these guys that I never had a chance to play rounds with before. We can all get together and just hang out and, you know, just talk golf and sports and play a couple alt shot rounds or stroke play or whatever the heck we're in the mood for, man. It's nice. Like, I don't do that anymore, like, at all, and I kind of miss that. And I know from a streaming perspective, it's probably not the most exciting thing to watch four friends just talking, playing around. Like, I get from a streaming perspective, me kind of being me and doing my whole thing and my shtick, whatever you want to call it. That's what people want. I get that. But I do, for me, I guess, I think it's nice to be able to have that night or that day where I just take 3-4 hours and say, hey, we're just going to play with friends today. So if you're in the chat and you want to play some rounds, doesn't matter what platform you're on anymore because the game's cross-platform now, and let's play some rounds. So I'd love to do that more often. That's really where my focus is at. Yeah. But societies is always going to be the main thing. TGC Tours, obviously, when that starts up, that'll be on the docket as well. But so many societies now, man. Look at the society. Like, look at you guys killing it with freaking Redfast, man. Freaking Cones and Microphones has been bringing in people left and right over here. Jackwagon has always been a staple. I mean, Rain City Gamers, I know he's got a new name now. It's going to be Seamount for life, but same idea, basically, just different name. You got all the other guys out here running their societies, man. There's so many other ones I can go over right now. I'm trying to think. You got what is it? What are the other ones I'm thinking of?
The Brits,
Rub
the
of the
Rub
Green.
of the Green.
All the Brits, Rub of the Green. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, I saw Baffle and Sports Lifer started up their own society called the GWO, the Geriatrics World Order. So, if you've been around the golf community for a minute, there's a good chance you might have run into Baffle and Sports Lifer because, you know, they've been around. They've just been around the community for a long time. So I wanted to support them and hop in their society. So, yeah, man, like there's plenty of good ones out there.
I bet those streams with community members, right? Like it's almost, it's Flip and Whodad play all the time, right? And I know you sometimes hop in there. It's cool to, like, you get that interaction not only as you a gamer, like, it's refreshing that you actually have to have a conversation live with someone other than chat, right?
Right.
And then on top of it, over time, it's similar to your personalities. Like, they learn about Whodad or they learn about Flip or someone else that you're currently playing with. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm interested to hear about what they're doing, and like, oh yeah, here's Jerry. Let's see how many practice swings he's gonna take before he hits the ball this time.
Yeah, right.
But like, it's one of those things. It's building, right? It's long term. So and on top of it, it's what you enjoy and it's refreshing.
And one of the things you realize too is that not all the friends you make are necessarily what you would consider Twitch friendly or
yes,
the best people to maybe have on a voice call with you for a prolonged period of time. And it's not a shot at anybody. I've played with people on every game I've played with where I've thought to myself, this guy's a little too much right now. But yeah, that's why you got to know the people that you're playing with a little bit. I think it's kind of important. You just don't want to have some guy on there who's just steamrolling the conversation and sidetracking the stream and driving people out of your stream because this guy's, going off about this or that or the other and whatever it might be. Maybe starts talking politics and you're like, hey, this is not the place, buddy. So it just you live and you learn with those situations. But I have had times where I've had someone in my chat just talking over and over, and I could see the numbers in my chat just going down and people leaving, and I am just like, I got to get this guy out of here. Like, you figure it out over time. But like I said, most of the guys I've played with, I've been very fortunate it's always good conversation. They're always very respectful of the fact that I'm running a stream and I have to do my weird voices and my freestyles, and they might have to tolerate listening to that in their earpiece for a second while I'm doing that. So they go along with the whole thing, and most people are very kind about it. And I just miss it. I miss it. It's fun. Like you said, it's nice to kind of, you always see me as a streamer. And I think sometimes when people always see you doing your, whatever you want to call it, a show, performance, whatever, just being entertaining, whatever you're trying to do, they think to themselves sometimes, like, how real is this person being? Like, is this person just putting on this facade, or is this who they really are? And I think when you get to see people interact with their friends, that's when you really kind of get a good like, who is this person really? Like, you get to see them interact with people they know, people they have a little bit of repertoire or just a little bit back and forth with, and it's nice. It's nice. I should have said rapport with. That would have been the proper term there. But you get my point.
We'll see if I can cut that and move that.
That's when you really kind of get a good like, who is this person really? Like, you get to see them interact with people they know, people they have a little bit of rapport.
I do like those alt shots because, again, from the streamer side of it, if you're running it, yeah, it's a lot more work because you're going to have to lock a Discord, Kilbride, because you'll get people that'll jump in and maybe try and air horn you from their cell phone. I don't know who would ever do that. It seems pretty toxic. But you can, if you're not streaming, you're able to, I love jumping in those alt shots because you get to be relaxed. You don't have to worry about the chat. You get to golf. You get to hang out with your buddies. We've already had one clip of Moose. All right, Moose, you got to make sure you miss this.
One up for the match if they sink this.
Moose, you have to make this one for it.
Oh,
Are
fuck.
you?
All right, go in our wall.
All right, boys.
All
All right. The biggest part of my life.
I still think that the alt shots can be great content, but like you said, you really have to be careful who's coming in. It's not the Joe Schmo going, "Can I play alt shots?" Like, no, just like you can't get your intro, I just found out who you are. You're not coming in the Discord.
And like, you don't want to ever be disrespectful. You don't ever want to make someone feel like they can't be included. But, just look, Twitch is full of so many weird, wacky people. I've met some amazing people who I felt like if I hung out with them in real life, I'd get along with them. I've met some other people who I'm like, if I had to meet this dude in real life, I might run the other direction. So it's just comes with the territory, man. It's a massive platform with people from all walks of life. And like I said, by and large, most of the people I feel like I've come into contact with and got to know have been very genuine, nice, friendly people. And yeah, occasionally you meet some strange folks, but that's life, man. And like you said, just don't have those folks on your streams when you're streaming to a large audience. Maybe just play those rounds offline with your buddies if you want to play with that person. So yeah, you live and you learn.
People got to understand one clip can stay around forever.
Oh, it absolutely can, man. Absolutely. I mean, you see, especially in this era now where, I say the term canceled, like someone's going to, cancel we're small peanuts compared to a lot of people, but, it's a thing now. So yeah, you do have to be careful what you say on camera. I think about the MLB scene. This guy, what's his freaking name? I can't remember his name right now.
Oh, God.
And his whole drama, and I don't want to go into
that. I'm bleeping that.
You can bleep his name for me, but my point being that
it's
one
the same
clip
story.
And the thing is too, one clip can be very misleading. Okay, because someone can just take a 5-second. Someone will say in my chat sometimes they'll say like, "I love the Packers. I love the Packers. I love the Packers. I love the Packers." And then I'll read it out loud and say, "I love the Packers," not realizing that I shouldn't read that out loud. And then they'll go back, clip that 3 seconds and be like, "USN admits he loves the Packers." And I'm like, okay, like, you got me. Like, well done. Like,
good job.
You duped me. So
take your time out.
And that's not even saying, right. That's not even saying anything egregious. I just think it's, a good example of how easy it is to fall into that habit or pattern of really not censoring yourself and making sure that what you're saying is above board. And as long as you're like I said, as long as you're a fairly level-headed person, I would hope that you wouldn't, be crappy on your stream. But I mean, you never know. People lose their cool sometimes and say things they don't mean to say. And I've seen some people snap on stream before. I've seen some people drink too much on stream before and just go on drunken tangents about this and that, and oh, this is so messed up, and why aren't you guys in my stream more? And I'm like, well, maybe this is why.
Yeah.
So you see everything, man. Huh?
Yeah. I said you have your answer.
Yeah,
why no
exactly.
one's in here.
No, it's true, man. So I mean, I used to be a late night streamer too, so I've seen it all. Like, now doing the daytime thing, I feel like I'm in a more tame time frame, but
level-headed audience.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if that's the right. Yeah, maybe. But the late night audience back in the day, man, they get rowdy. Like those guys, they come to party, and especially when you're up Saturday, Sunday night, which I used to do, man. Some of the people in there at 1 or 2 in the morning, man, you're just like, whew, okay, we're doing this, I guess. So
I do have one last question here.
Absolutely, man.
Last year, I think, correct me on the time frame if I'm wrong, you had an opportunity with Twitch Sports. And you had some broadcasting with them. Any opportunities maybe in the future? I mean, I don't know if you can disclose that.
No, it's a great question, actually.
Yeah. Hopefully you have some more opportunities, because that was kind of a fun watch, and I thought you did a great job.
Yeah, I've maintained the connection with them, which is great. That's about the extent of where it is right now. They really don't have any plans, I believe, for college football programming going forward, because the show really didn't take last year. They tried to do it for a couple weeks after the week I was on, and it still didn't go over very well, so they ended up scrapping the idea. But I will say it was fun to do. I had a blast doing it. I was kind of nervous, and I felt like a little more reserved than I usually was when I was on it. But it was a cool opportunity. And honestly, I was really lucky that they reached out and even, said, like, hey, we want you to be a part of this. I don't know how they found me. I mean, the guy who worked for the talent agency that was working with Twitch Sports somehow just stumbled in my stream one day and thought, like, you're perfect for this, man. Anyway, and it's probably a byproduct of the fact of what you mentioned, that like NCAA has 21 people watching it. And when when he tuned in, there was probably 61 people watching it, and 57 of them were probably in my stream. So he's like, oh, I'll go check this guy out. So, so like he hops in there, and then he's like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I work for this and that. And he saw my freestyles, and he thought that was a funny element in the voices. And he was like, we want you to use your voices, which is something I didn't even end up doing on the broadcast. But it was a tough situation, man. Like, I didn't feel like the whole thing was very well ironed out. We didn't really do like a dress rehearsal or anything. We got together a couple times with me and the 2 or 3 other people who were on the show, and we kind of like just riffed a little bit and went back and forth talking sports. Like, here's how it's kind of going to feel. Yeah. But it all felt a little underprepared. I felt like I was just kind of going into it just to be the guy who's like, I'm the sports guy. Like, I play college football. I'm the sports guy here. And, you got Bridget, she's the host. And then you've got the other guys who are like the football, actual analysts and experts. And that was pretty much it. So it was different. It was fun. And I'd love to work with Twitch Sports again in the future. I actually messaged them this year because they were doing games last year.
Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah, right. For Thursday Night Football last year. I don't know if you guys remember this, but for Thursday night.
Do you want to talk about Thursday Night Football right now?
Ooh, well, actually, yeah.
I know, right? But for Thursday Night Football last year, you guys might remember, a lot of streamers were allowed to broadcast the actual games, and they could actually do their sidecast with the feed from the game, since, Amazon is, and Twitch are all together on this. So it's like, it was pretty cool. So like, Bridget, who was the host of the show that I was on, she got to broadcast the Thursday night games on her channel, like the actual live feed of the games, while she was doing like commentary for that. So I reached out to them recently. They didn't do it this year. They got back to me. They were like, yeah, we're not doing it again this year. They're just airing the games on the Amazon Prime channel or whatever. So they're done. I guess the people who are doing the side cast this year, or the watch parties, are just doing it with like, Gamecast from like ESPN or something like that, which is fine. It gets the job done. But I thought it was so cool. It was like, man, I could like actually live commentate this game. It's so perfect for what I do with my personalities and my voices.
Especially
I could
if you had it for a college football game too. Well,
right.
I mean, mainly because you have that audience, but obviously you have the NFL background and knowledge too. So I mean,
Yeah, frankly, honestly, that probably hurt me a little bit because I don't think that people realize that put me on Twitch Sports how little I actually knew about college football last year. Like I'm much more well versed now, having played this game for like a year and a half. But at the time when they put me on that thing, dude, I had just gotten back into college football and I had to literally like read up on that Notre Dame Wisconsin game and like all the players. And like I was like, I joked with Leanne, I was like, I got to do my homework because normally I know this stuff without having to do a lick of research. But I was like, I got to look up the big names on each team. I got to look up like the storylines that are going on right now. I got to know what's going on because I am completely out of touch. So I did my homework and I did know what I was talking about. But at the same time, man, if you would ask me to do that 2 weeks before, I would have been like just blank. So, I mean, but it was such a good opportunity. I wasn't going to turn it down. I wasn't going to be like, no, don't let me be on Twitch Sports. And the funny thing is, in my head, I was like, I'm going to blow up. This is going to be huge for my stream. There's going to be thousands of people watching me on Twitch. And the reality was the stream got like at most, I think we hit a couple hundred people. I think maybe I got 2, 3, 4 followers out of it, but didn't really help me gain any traction or help my channel take off or anything. I'd say at this point, pretty much everything that's helped my channel take a step in a positive direction has been a direct result of decisions I have made, not necessarily Twitch coming in and being like, hey, let's help you get to the next step here. Let's make things easier for you. Let's boost your channel or let's do this or that, or, and it's just, you got to improvise, man. You got to improvise. You got to always adjust and figure out what it is, because like you guys said, you said it earlier too, man. Even if you've been doing the same thing for like a year, at some point people kind of get like, hey, the guy's doing the same thing. He's doing the same thing he did a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, what are you bringing to the table new? And it's funny because I look back now at this and I used to innovate so much more on the channel. I used to create so many more graphics and overlays and all these different things and create audio bites and video clips that I could use and stuff like that. And now I don't think I've become lazy about it, but I just feel a little bit more complacent now, where I'm like, okay, I've got something and it's working. So don't overdo it. Don't go overkill with it, but also find ways to keep improving, keep moving forward, keep things fresh, keep things changing, not just giving the people the same freaking recycled, hey, we're doing another dynasty at this program now. And like, they're like, great, what's any difference between this and the last place? Like, it's like, you gotta give people something that actually wants to get them to come back. So unless they really love your personality, in which case we call those people Jay Torres. But yeah,
I think that's the whole main point. Like you're just doing a great job of how to stand out. Like you got to pivot, you got to try new things, and you've really done a great job. So kudos to you.
Thank you guys. This was fun.
Anything?
No, thank you.
So thank you very much. I mean, this might be our longest interview yet.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I talk a ton once you guys ask
those
questions.
Those were all fantastic all fantastic questions. I mean, my what is it? My chord break that you guys had fun with. I'm sure that'll add to the time as well. But, anyways, thank you once again. Make sure you guys go follow USN. Check out Cones and Microphones if you're into PGA Tour 2K23. Runs a society that's on all platforms, so even before crossplay, you will be able to play that as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys. This was fun, man. Happy to do it, and happy to see you guys crush it on PGA this year, man. Red Fast Review. I mean, you guys freaking holding it down for the whole community. I love to see it.